Alright, let's be honest. Wearing pants sucks. Why should we be stuck in stiff jeans crushing our family jewels? Well, those days are over thanks to Public Rec. They got the deal maker pants, and let me tell you, these feel like sweatpants but look like jeans. You get that 5-pocket style, but all the comfort that you need to go from work to play, no problem. These pants are made with their Workday 2.0 fabric. Wind and water resistant, so they're built to handle whatever you got going on. Clean, classic, and comfortable. These are gonna be your new everyday pants. I've been switching between the deal maker and the day maker pants, and I pair them with the go-to tee, and trust me when I tell you, it's the perfect fit. Plus, Public Rec will let you pick your exact size, waist, and length. None of that small, medium, large nonsense. And with 10 color options, you can find your perfect look. Stop suffering in regular pants. Right now, you get 20% off with code Chael at checkout. That's 20% at publicrec.com. Make sure you use code Chael at checkout. Or, to make it easier, just click below. From the first time a backup fighter ever took place, which to my knowledge was Volkov at T-Mobile in Las Vegas. To my memory and the way I recall this, everybody weighs in. I'm covering the weigh-in show, right? I'm at Errol Hawani. So imagine I'm doing all the heavy lifting, and all of a sudden this tall, skinny Russian guy comes through the curtain. I'm going, man, I know that guy from somewhere. I'm turning to Errol. That's Volkov. What is he doing here? We're going through our notes. We got our show street and our script. We start texting when the cameras aren't on us to the producers in the control room. We cannot figure out why this guy just came on to the weigh-in. And that was the moment and the day that we as a community found out there is something called a backup fighter, which to this point has been exclusively used for title fights, exclusively used for title fights that were also acting main events. And not every time. You're not guaranteed a backup fighter, and there's oftentimes we need one. For example, 1 week ago, our title fight main event fell apart. And that's where you have a backup guy, right? Okay. So, I have always felt that was a very interesting story. And I've also always felt that it's a very strong marketing tool. I have felt that guys should campaign to be a backup fighter. Backup fighter, in many ways, is a step in front of number one contender. In many realistic ways. Backup fighters historically turn in to number one contenders without ever competing again. Just for coming out, going through the training camp, getting the licensing, making the travel with your team, and ultimately you leave without a purse because you didn't compete. And for going through that, they are then so commonly elevated to number one contender. And my question to you is just, do you find that interesting? Because I do. I have wanted to know who backup fighters are. We had a backup fighter one time. A backup fighter means he is there purely to save the day if anything goes wrong and he missed weight. So, you got this backup fighter and they registered him in, but if he's not on weight, it can't be a title fight. I mean, the whole thing was a mess. And I do not say that to tease Luke. It's a tough situation. It's very tough to train and look at something as though there's a finish line when there's not a finish line, right? The horse, no matter how tired, is going to run his hardest when the barn is in sight. So I'm only sharing for you though. Like, of the times a backup fighter did not become number one contender, Luke is one of those, but he missed weight. And I'm just wondering if you guys think that that's a story, because the marketing team does not. The marketing team at the UFC thinks that it's confusing. They could be right. It's an experiment. I don't actually know. I don't know because we've never done the experiment. I have always thought they should put an emphasis and they should push it. I've always thought there is a story there for this backup guy, all the way down to training camp and footage and how it's going and what is the mindset like going in there and preparing for something that you don't even have on the off chance that you might have it. I just think that's interesting. But they disagree with me. And they think it adds confusion. and they think you should never confuse your audience with the product that you are attempting to bring them by bringing in hypotheticals such as a backup fighter in the event that happens. They don't agree with me on the concept. And I'm really just wondering what you guys think, because I think Chimaev's the backup fighter. I don't believe that Chimaev is just the number one contender. I don't believe that the proximity of this fight is something that you would not book Chimaev, who allegedly has Western travel issues. I don't think you would do that without bringing him. I'm confident Chimaev will be there. I'm confident he will be in attendance. So why, if you're flying him out, would you not put him on the scale the day before? I'm asking. I don't know that answer. But many of you have asked me, do I think that Chimaev is next? And it's a little bit of a strange question for me, because are you asking me, do I believe he will fight for the title next? Or are you asking me, do I believe he's the rightful number one contender? Or are you asking me, can we get the fight to the ring? Some fights are never getting to the ring. I'll tell you two right off the top of my head, but it was Rumble Johnson versus Jon Jones. I never covered that piece, and I refused to do it for anyone else because I knew that fight wasn't going to happen. I literally never spoke on what could have been this monster fight. Never did it, because I knew that would... Rashad Evans versus Daniel Cormier. There was never a time that fight was going to happen. And I would even have people say, no, it's signed. It's signed. I don't care what you have signed. You will not get that to the ring. I'm just sharing for you. There's some fights you can't get into the ring, so if you have an opportunity with Chimaev in a place that he could be against two guys in a main event for a title, and you have an opportunity to have a backup, which is a lesson we got reminded of the hard way 2 short weeks ago, I think Chimaev's the backup. But it's very relevant detail as I answer your question, could he be next? Because Israel Adesanya has a 100% efficiency rate at picking his opponents. There is nobody who has steered their career better, where they had control of the ship, where they saw what direction they were going to go. There's nobody in history to do it better than Izzy. And what Izzy is going to do on a microphone, if the opportunity comes, there's not a lot of guys for Izzy to call out. And you might look at the matchup and say, I don't think that's a good matchup. I don't think he will call him out. Well, then who do you think he should call out? Like, it's a very weird thing to go through life if you're one of the people that thinks a guy shouldn't do something because it's not a good match. You're called a bully. If you will only fight people or try to fight people that you know you can beat, it's not a way to go through life. So please, when we're interacting, just don't do that to me. If Izzy's not going to call out Chimaev, if Izzy has the opportunity to call somebody out, and history says he's never missed that opportunity, if he's not going to call out Chimaev, who should he call out? Who do you think that he will call out? Should he call out the winner of Strickland Duplessis, which is a guaranteed rematch, which is not guaranteed good business? Or should he call out the number one contender, stop him, and earn his way to the shot? I'm just asking. Should he go the other way? Should he go after Bo Nickel? Should he go after Arnold Allen? I mean, who is it? I'm waiting for you to raise your hand. I'm waiting for you to say, we're in the sake of a call out, in the view of a victorious moment, who should Izzy call for? And if you start to break it down, you do come to a very good probability that that's going to be Chimaev. And if you look at the history of Izzy of calling his own shots, it would take Chimaev from a number one contendership and give himself something else to do. And that's where things do get interesting. Unless, of course, he's in training camp, he's on weight, and he's reserved to be a backup for Strickland Duplessis.